The rich history of race and poverty.
Lyndon B. Johnson initiated the War on Poverty and also the Great Society. And programs that emerged from the Great Society include the Food Stamp Act of 1964, the Economic Opportunity Act, and the Civil Rights Act, which both were also in 1964. Social Security amendments created Medicare and Medicaid, and Immigration and the Naturalization Act also emerged. And to claim War on Poverty to be a failure ignores these acts, and it was a profound change for the poor and opened doors for many. The rhetoric for the poor changes. For example, during the Great Depression, the blame was not placed on them due to job unavailability, and they're currently unseen and unheard and ignored, treated and thought of as lazy, uneducated drug addicts or alcoholics. During the first 5 years of the War on Poverty, 1964 to 1969, poverty rates cut from 19 to 12.1%, and child poverty rates cut in half. And there was no social safety net before Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. Okay. Franklin Roosevelt established the first form of government assistance with his New Deal in 1935, but the War on Poverty was not officially initiated until 1964 by President Lyndon B. Johnson, who replaced assassinated President Kennedy. He initiated the Great Society, and Bill Clinton further pushed this by promising to end welfare as we know it. He established a personal responsibility and promised to end welfare as we know it. He established the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act in 1996. And during his years, poverty rates dropped from 15.1% to 11.3%.
Females are also statistically at a disadvantage when it comes to poverty compared to males. The poverty rate for women and girls was higher than men and boys in every age group. In fact, a 2014 study showed that of the U.S. population, 16% of women were in poverty, while 13% of men were impoverished. This may be due to the lower wages that women receive in the workforce, since they are more likely to work these kinds of jobs than men. 1 in 5 transgendered people have been discriminated against when buying a home, and 1 in 10 trans people have been evicted from their homes due to their sexual identity. This clearly contributes to a poverty crisis within the trans community. If they are not even able to buy a home due to discrimination by landlords, many trans people will end up on the streets. In fact, 1 in 5 transgender individuals have experienced homelessness at some point in their lives. Much of this is caused by familial rejection, violence, and discrimination. Even in homeless shelters, trans people face more discrimination in terms of appropriately gendered housing. Reports show that 20 to 40% of homeless LGBTQ youth are in inappropriately gendered housing, which can cause added violence toward those individuals. Sexuality definitely plays a big part in the intersections of race and poverty.
Race and ethnicity is a significant factor that enables an individual or family to be persistent in poverty. Ethnicity plays a big part in determining if families live below or above the poverty line. In an example from the article Race, Poverty, and Disabilities, 3 Strikes and You're Out, or Are You? Latinos with disabilities live below the poverty level, but the article then states that African Americans with disabilities are particularly more disadvantaged compared to Latinos with disabilities. And when considering race with education level, many disadvantaged youths, especially blacks, are still failing and dropping out of school. This oppresses blacks to obtain a job in their future, especially when considering college applications as well.
25% of African Americans with a disability are less than a high school graduate. 36% of Latino/Hispanics with a disability are also less than a high school graduate. Low wages continued for a majority of people of color. Many women and men had full-time jobs but still qualified for food stamps. Domestic policies focus on poverty because they unify them between causes, balance middle class tax cut focus, and emphasize inadequate resources of poor individuals and communities.
Social justice groups that you can join or help is the Poverty and Race Research Action Council, which is at www.prrac.org. They help to break down systems that disrupt disadvantaged low-income people of poverty. They provide technical assistance and support for local partners working with them and helping change policies. Another one is the National Association of Advancement for Colored People, which is at www.naacp.org. They are about ensuing the political, education, and social and economic equality of all citizens, and to achieve equality of rights and eliminate race prejudice among every citizen. And just because you may be scared to join these social groups, even though compassion is our most vulnerable weakness, it is one of our most useful strengths to help make a change for the better.